In 1883, the Earth made a sound so loud it circled the planet 4 times. Windows shattered 3,000 miles away. The sky turned blood red for years, and an entire island simply disappeared. Most people have heard of Krakatoa. Almost no one knows the full story. Because this wasn't just a volcanic eruption. It was the moment the planet quite literally rang like a bell. This is the strange history of the explosion the world heard but didn't understand. August 27th, 1883. Ships in the Indian Ocean suddenly heard a sound so loud, sailors thought the sky itself had exploded. Windows shattered 3,000 miles away. People in Australia thought it was cannon fire. In India, officials logged the noise as a distant explosion. But this wasn't a war. It wasn't a meteor. It was a volcanic island called Krakatoa, and it had just produced the loudest sound in recorded human history. The blast reached an estimated 310 decibels. That's louder than a jet engine, louder than a nuclear explosion at close range. It ruptured eardrums 40 miles away and sent shockwaves around the planet 4 times. Entire coastlines vanished. Tsunamis swallowed towns. The sky turned red across the world. And for days afterward, people had no idea what had actually happened, because in 1883, news traveled by ship, and Krakatoa had just erased half the ships. This is the strange, chaotic, and absolutely unbelievable history of the eruption that made the Earth ring like a bell. Let's get right in. Please consider subscribing if you enjoy this video. The volcano nobody was worried about. Before 1883, Krakatoa was not the main character. It wasn't the biggest volcano. It wasn't the most active. It was basically the quiet middle child of the Sunda Strait. Krakatoa sat between Java and Sumatra, part of a volcanic chain that erupts so often locals were used to the occasional rumble. Smoke from volcanoes? Normal. Ash falling from the sky? Tuesday. Mild explosions? Background noise. In fact, for over 200 years, Krakatoa had been mostly quiet, which is exactly why no one thought much of it when it started acting weird. In May of 1883, ships passing through the strait noticed ash clouds rising from the island. Nothing catastrophic, just some steam, some smoke, a few harmless explosions. Tourists, yes, actual tourists, sailed out to look at it. They picnicked on nearby islands. Some even climbed the volcano to get a better view. Because in 1883, if a volcano looked interesting, you simply rode closer. But deep underground, Krakatoa wasn't waking up. It was pressurizing. Magma was rising, gas was building, and the island was slowly turning into a geological soda can being shaken by the Earth itself. No one on those sightseeing boats realized they were floating next to a ticking time bomb. And within 3 months, that quiet island would completely destroy itself. By late August 1883, Krakatoa had officially stopped being interesting and started being terrifying. On August 26th, the volcano began erupting continuously. Ash shot 15 miles into the sky. The sun disappeared. Ships nearby were plunged into near-total darkness at midday. Pumice, basically floating volcanic rock, began covering the ocean so thickly that boats struggled to move through it. It was like sailing through a rock smoothie. And then the explosions got bigger. Each blast sent shockwaves ripping across the sea. Barometers in nearby cities went wild. Windows rattled constantly. People on Java described the sky turning black, lightning flashing inside the ash clouds like a thunderstorm trapped inside a chimney. But here's the strange part. Even at this point, people still didn't evacuate in large numbers, because no one thought the entire island would detonate. They thought it was a dramatic eruption, a loud one, a messy one, but not an extinction-level coastal catastrophe. That assumption was about to be very, very wrong. On August 27th, 10:02 a.m., Krakatoa didn't just erupt, it detonated. The final explosion was so violent that 2/3 of the island instantly collapsed into the sea. The sound it produced reached an estimated 310 decibels. To put that in perspective, that's louder than standing next to a rocket launch, louder than most nuclear blasts at close range. It's a volume level where the air itself becomes a weapon. Sailors 40 miles away had their eardrums ruptured. Some were temporarily deaf. Others thought their ship's cannons had misfired. The sound was clearly heard over 3,000 miles away in Australia. In India, officials logged it as a mysterious, distant explosion. And the pressure wave? It circled the planet 4 times. Barometers in Europe recorded tiny jumps in air pressure every time the shockwave passed by, like the Earth was being tapped again and again and again. Imagine living in London in 1883. Your windows rattle slightly for no reason. No internet, no radio, just a quiet atmospheric pulse from the other side of the world. The planet didn't just hear Krakatoa, it felt it. Okay, so the explosion was only half the disaster. When most of Krakatoa collapsed into the ocean, it displaced an unimaginable amount of water, and the sea responded immediately. Tsunamis up to 120 feet tall raced outward in every direction. They moved faster than a speeding train. No warning systems, no sirens, no chance. Entire coastal towns on Java and Sumatra were wiped off the map in minutes. One wave carried a naval ship nearly 2 miles inland, leaving it stranded in the jungle like a very confused bathtub toy. Lighthouses vanished, ports disappeared. Over 36,000 people were killed, most by water, not fire. Some survivors described the ocean pulling back first, exposing the seafloor. Fish flopping, boats tilting, silence. And then a wall of water rising on the horizon. By the time people realized what they were seeing, it was already too late. The eruption was heard around the world, but the tsunamis, they were experienced up close, and they were unstoppable. To wrap this up, you'd think that after blowing itself apart, Krakatoa would be done. Island gone, crater collapsed, case closed. But volcanoes don't really do retirement. In 1927, 44 years after the catastrophic eruption, fishermen noticed something strange. Steam rising from the sea, bubbles breaking the surface. Then, land. A new island began pushing its way out of the ocean, right where Krakatoa had destroyed itself. It was named Anak Krakatau, which literally means child of Krakatoa. And this child? Very dramatic. Anak Krakatau has been erupting on and off for decades, growing, collapsing, growing again. It's like geology with commitment issues. In 2018, part of the new volcano collapsed, triggering another deadly tsunami, a reminder that the region is still very much alive. Today, Anak Krakatau continues to rise from the sea, slowly rebuilding what its parent obliterated in 1883. Krakatoa wasn't just a single disaster, it's an ongoing story. A volcanic sequel no one asked for, but Earth delivered anyway. And somewhere beneath those waves, the original crater still sits, quiet, waiting, pressurizing. Because in the Sunda Strait, history doesn't stay buried. Thanks for listening. Please subscribe for more strange history of episodes covering bizarre true events, forgotten disasters, and weird moments from the past.